Hi friends, your pal Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons' new upcoming starter set, Welcome to the Hellfire Club. So it has a very interesting opening. It says, the Hellfire Club started as a haven for outsiders, free spirits, and dice slingers, right? And what it was doing is it's describing what things were like in the 1980s. And what I want to do today is talk about how this has changed, because I do think this has dramatically changed. We have seen very significant, the world has dramatically changed since the 80s. And what we were looking at then does not look like what we're looking at now. So, first of all, I think this was very true. In the 80s, you were an outsider or a free spirit or a dice slinger if you were playing Dungeons and Dragons. It was not normal. It was feared. It was looked down on. It was considered nerdy, right? So, is that true today? No, definitely not. Um, and the reason why is uh, our society has changed dramatically. So, back in the 80s, the John Hughes cliques were very clear. You had, I think, if you just look at the Breakfast Club, right? It's just like the jock, the nerd, the studious girl, right? The freak, which might have bounced into stoner territory, or just really out there. And what happened to those stereotypes, those cliques? What happened to those cliques? All of them their um, have had their edges filed off, right? Just kind of rounded out, right? And that's pretty interesting because so what happened exactly, right? Well, specifically, you have this situation where um, you basically the jock, right? One, there's way more people playing sports than ever, right? There are so many more sports, and the level of dedication to making it in sports has dramatically ramped up. Back in my day, you were, maybe you were talent, you were born with some athletic talent, and you did, and you went in and you played some basketball, and if you were really talented, maybe you even played three sports. Maybe you played football and all those things. But what's interesting is um, now, right? You have travel teams, and even kids on travel teams aren't that special anymore. The special kids are kids who are on travel teams, right? And then in addition to that, have personal coaches, multiple personal coaches. That's the tip of the jock sphere now. And it's no longer even gendered. Like, there's very significant athletes on both sides with a lot at stake, right? But because of that, you have all kinds of people in the jock area. They're more likely to read, or they're more likely to be artistic than they used to. They're less likely to party. So that the jock clique is not nearly what it was then. It's much more robust and rounded now, right? Um, the other thing is um, the nerd. One, computers came along, and computer skills are needed by everyone now. So even if you are very, if you would have fit into the nerd or geek culture, many of the skills attached to that are much more valuable than they used to be. Right? You're not going to be getting your books knocked out of your hand. So this has really, really changed. And so one thing that I think is really interesting is they say the outsiders, right? Well, what's really different now is that everybody has become far more of an outsider. And where we've landed is that making friends has become much more difficult for everyone. You go and you find the people you resonate with, and you have a clique, and you don't have cliques of 30 people anymore. You have small groups of 3, and you have much, much more of them, right? And even loners, right, are not even like bothered the way they were. Oh, you don't have anyone. There's even more appreciation of being a loner. So the structure that this is talking about, these free spirits, these outsiders, these dice slingers, that structure does not exist in society anymore. And we have a much different society, and the people coming into Dungeons and Dragons are coming from dramatically different uh, um, social groupings, right? And so I think it's important to recognize that as we are about to receive this time machine in a box, right? Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.